Ken would be so mad if I forgot. Okay. All right, Mary, I'm going to turn it over to you. Go ahead and give us three fun things about you that help make you relatable to us.
Ooh, three fun things about me. Well, I was an aunt before I was born. I'm the youngest of 11 kids, so my brothers and my oldest brothers were having kids when I was born. So that was something. Another thing is that I was a high-level competitive gymnast for 37, well, 20, 17 years of competitive gymnastics, but I was in the sport for 37 and I dropped it like a it was never a thing. And then the other thing is I absolutely adore horses. So, and I have a bunny. That'll be more relatable too, maybe.
When did you get a bunny?
Well, I kind of grew up with bunnies on the farm, but at the same time, we've had this particular bunny named Carmel for 4 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
you keep it in a cage?
She sleeps in a cage, but she goes inside and outside, and she has a litter box outside and does her business out there. And we let her run around in the back patio area, and she's just the best bunny in the world.
How fun. If I had a bunny, I would have to let him run outside too because I don't like when animals have to be caged up all the time.
Yeah,
Even
I don't either.
safety. I just don't like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so hey Kim, welcome. You are a first timer here. This is so fun. Um,
Hey,
somebody put in the chat, recording permission was denied leaving the meeting. Okay, don't know what to tell you about that.
Oh,
Um, we are already recording, so um, I love that everybody's usually utilizing the chat. Please be sure to put all your connections in there, including your LinkedIn. And then if you have a calendar link you want to share so people can reach out, that's a good thing to also put in there. All right, Mary, tell us about your business because you're multifaceted and I love both aspects of your business.
thank you. Well, I started IrisBlu Publishing back in 2010. I wrote gymnastics books, and I wanted to write and publish well, it started with one book, but it turned into a series. And I didn't want to deal with the whole publishing world. I didn't want to have to go out and to say, hey, am I good enough for you? So I decided to start my own publishing company and publish the books on my own. And this was before there was print on demand. So I had to actually go out and have some go to a printer, have them print the books, and I have about 3,000 in storage still. So print on demand is so much better, and so you are all ahead of the game in comparison to me in 2010. So I started IrisBlu Publishing back then, and I since created a series gymnastics book set and really based loosely on my experience in the gym as a kid, but also um, it integrates the positive atmosphere that I really love to espouse in the sport of gymnastics. And that's what I did in my gym. So I had after we had I had my publishing company for a couple of years, my husband and I opened a gymnastics center that it was brick and mortar, obviously. So we had people come to us and learn how to do gymnastics, and we did things differently than so many others. And I was the anti-gymnastics culture, so I created a whole new culture within my gym for my kids, and so it was really based upon what I do now. And I didn't know it back in the day, but I came across someone named Bob Proctor, and he is has since been my mentor. And I am now a Proctor Gallagher consultant. And during COVID, we felt like our business was being taken from us because we had to close the gym. We had to, start all over, start from scratch. And I looked at my husband and I said, I don't want to. So we actually closed the gym and I jumped right into being a Procter Gallagher consultant. So I am huge on entrepreneurs creating their own economy. And it is so important because I felt terrible when I felt like I had no control over my own business. I mean, we had we had such a good thing going on, and then it was just whoop, ripped out from under us, and I hated it. And so I vowed to myself to create a business where that would never happen again. And that is where I truly believe that books are an important piece of an entrepreneur's economy, something that you can do as an entrepreneur to spread your message, to help your clients at a deeper level, to show the world your expertise, or to just do something that is more fun on the side to just to expand who you are as a human. And so that's really the evolution of my world. The Bob Proctor piece is personal development, and so a lot of people, each one of us is living a life, and each one of us has a story, but so many people don't believe that they're cut out to say anything about it, or who am I to share my story with the world? Well, I'm here to say that your story matters, and I think that books are a perfect way to get that out there.
I love that. And so back to the gymnastics thing, I'm just going to say that I have two daughters, complete polar opposites physically. One was we were always adding elastic to the leg holes of everything and cinching him down because she had teeny, itsy bitsy little chicken legs, and then one that was a little more rounded. And when we put them in dance, they came home and were showing me their dance moves. And the little one said, "Okay, tuck my tummy in, tuck my butt in." I said, "Oh, we're not doing this." I had to go down to the dance teacher and I said, "Look, at 3 years old, don't talk to my daughter about her body. Just don't, because she's here to be strong." And the funny thing is out of that, my oldest daughter, the one that was built really thin, is a dancer and she loves hip hop and things like that. My other daughter is a cheerleader and a farm girl. They're both farm girls, but they're both very strong. For my younger daughter's senior stunt, she single-handedly threw a girl in the air, caught her in her arms, and placed her on her shoulders. And I went, "There you go, tummy in, baby."
I
And they're,
love
"Oh
it.
my gosh, she's so strong." I'm like, "She throws bales of hay. I don't worry about this one when she goes out in the world." you know. So I think I always had a little bit different outlook on dance too with my girls. I just wanted them to be healthy and strong and not worry about all the other crap that goes with that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
onto the book thing, I think that's so interesting because I love people's stories. I absolutely love people's stories. I was walking through my house last night and I don't have one room in my house that doesn't have books in it.
Hmm.
And I mean, literally like shelves of books. And I know that's such an old thing. People don't do that anymore because they're doing it on their Kindle and different things like that. But I like having the actual hard copy in my hand. I feel like I have to be engaged in more than one way. I can't just be reading something. I have to be able to thumb through it and things like that too in order to pay attention really well. And so I love books, and the ones that get me the most are the ones that are personal stories. That's what I really love.
Hmm.
So if somebody, well, and you've done so many books, have you done a business book?
Yes, I have. So one thing that, well, the freebie that we're giving out is one is the aspiring author um, starter kit, and that one is just an ebook, but it teaches. It kind of gives you a taste of what it's like to write your own book and what to do because it allows you to go, oh, I might have something to say here because so many people dismiss the idea that they might have something to say. And frankly, what I really like about it is that it's an example of how other people could help. You could use it as a lead magnet for your for your company. You could just show your expertise. You could sell it if you wanted to for like on Etsy or on your own website. You could do all sorts of different things with that type of book. And what I like about it is that as a piece that helps people build their book, it's also an example of the type of book you can build. So it's not technically this is how you start your business type of book, but it is a way to get a book involved in your business, if that makes sense. Another one that I've done is this one. It's How to Study Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And so what I actually did, Napoleon Hill's book is actually in the public domain. So I republished that. But then I added after each chapter my notes after reading the chapter. And then I linked it to a companion course that I created for people who bought the book. So not only like kind of like what you were talking about, Colleen, is that not only can you page through the book, but then you can also use different pieces of video. You have worksheets, you have all sorts of multifaceted things that you can do with the book. So that's technically not a business book, but at the same time, it's Think and Grow Rich. So it kind of is.
It is the business book, I think. And I think I'm looking around the room here and so many amazing entrepreneurs in here. I feel like that's a great business tool. I think that's really a great business tool. And it used to be that I had a great reverence for books. Like I didn't want to dog ear them. I didn't want to write in them. I didn't want to mark up. And then my mom and dad passed away. And one of my favorite things has been to go back to their books and
Ah,
read their thoughts that they put in the margins.
yeah.
And that totally changed my perspective. And so now I'm a margin writer, right? Like, and sometimes it's really small, and sometimes I have to like do little arrows go around the corner here. So, but I think they're my books. And so if I deface them that way, I worked in a public library for a while. And so I kind of got the don't write on books, but I actually love writing in my books. Now, what? Hmm. I'm thinking of people in here that I know have written books. You said you connected that in the back. There's questions at the end of each chapter, and
Mhm.
you connected it to a course. Did you do that with a QR code? Did you do it with, is there just a link in there that they can just go type in the computer? How did you
Yep.
do that?
It's a QR code, actually. So the QR code takes you directly to the landing page, and all they do is just sign in, and then they have access to the course. So it's a free course that goes along with the purchase of the book.
I love that.
So,
And
yeah.
you said that that book is in public domain, is what you said?
So Think and Grow Rich is in the public domain, and that's why I could republish Napoleon Hill's content. So not all of his books are in the public domain though. So you have to do your research. But another book that is also in the public domain is The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. And what could happen is that if there is, as an entrepreneur, if there is a book that has really truly inspired you that happens to be in the public domain, you can republish that and also put your thoughts in there. You could put there are so many different ways you could do this. You could put the writing by the author on one side, and you could put your take on the other side, or what you did with it, or how you applied it in your life to teach people a little bit how to move forward with their lives. I think there's so many different ways that you can use books that are in the public domain so that you don't even have to write your own like whole book. You can have a meaty structure without coming up with everything, if that makes sense.
That does. And so I may be the only novice here, but tell me about public domain. How does that work? What is that? What are we looking for? And where do we go to look and see if that's
Yeah,
possible?
so that's a great question. So public domain is a work of well, a book essentially. Well, it comes in all sorts of media, but in this case, we'll talk about books. So it's in the public domain means that it was published before a certain date. And that date is when the copyright laws went into effect in the United States. And so as long as the book was written before that date, and the author did not, or their trust or whatever, whomever had rights to their book after they passed away, if they did not renew the copyright after that date, then the book is in the public domain. And so if you do a search on Google, you could just do a Google search and say public domain books. There's also something called Project Gutenberg, and you go there and they're all public domain books. Those different, and you can look and see what books are in the public domain. You can also search by topic. So maybe there's a topic like, well, personal development and growth or something like that. And you're like, ooh, yeah, okay, that one's in there, that one's in there. So you can kind of look around in there and see what might work for you. And there might be a book that's kind of obscure for the public that has something to do with the business that you have, you know? And so maybe there is an old time gymnastics book or something that a gymnastics coach wanted to republish, and they could do that, and they could say how the sport has evolved since then. You know, I'm just throwing ideas out there, but you could do anything. I mean, books were published in the public domain. And that year is right around, I think, 1967 or something, like, don't quote me on that year, but it's right around that time.
I
And
love
there are
that.
certain authors too who just publish in the public domain. So they allow, like Neville Goddard, for instance, he published after that date. And you know, it might be earlier than 67, but he published before that date, but he published and allowed all of his works to be in the public domain because he wanted everybody to have access to them. So some authors are like that.
I like that. And so I'm going to switch gears just a little bit. So most of us here are entrepreneurs, all of us probably. But if we don't feel like we have a knowledge or information that people would want in a book form, which I would just say as a side note, of course you do. That's one of our superpowers, is that we just underestimate the knowledge we have. But if we, let's say that we don't, and we just want to write something on a more fun level or even a more personal level, maybe it's something you went through in your relationship. Or for instance, I just read a book. I think it's called From the Front Porch or something, but it's a girl who became her sister's caregiver at a young age, and how she learned to build her life around, her sister was a victim of a violent crime. And so how she learned to build her life around protecting her sister and taking care of all of her needs and still doing the things she needs to do. And I promise you, it's probably not a book that's everywhere, but I just really loved seeing how people cope with things. And so I found that to be a most interesting book. So if we had something like that that we want to write, what steps, what do we do? How do you know where to come in with your story, how to enter that story scene, all of those things? Or is it better to maybe even just do like an outline and get a ghostwriter and work like that?
Well, there are a couple different ways, and I love that you're asking this because I think there's so many different ways that somebody can go about writing a book, and the aspiring author starter kit that I am providing to everybody will help with that because there's a book clarity workbook inside of it. And so what that does is helps you to uncover the message that you're trying to convey in your book. So it takes you through a number of questions like, why do I feel called to write this book, right? And ask, why do I even want to say this? Why do I want to share this story, this personal story with everybody? And what type of transformation am I trying to get into my reader? What do I want to share about how this experience transformed me and how could it help other people, right? And then it asks a question about who is this book for? You know, I imagine, Colleen, that you really identified with that particular book because you also were a caregiver, right? And so that
Right.
was something that you really felt a connection to. And so when we decide who our audience is before we write the book, then we can actually be more meaningful in crafting the words and the chapters that we're creating. And then another question that I ask you is, how do I want readers to feel after reading the book? Do you want them to feel inspired? Do you want them to feel transformed? Do you want them to feel excited, or do you want them to just feel good? Feel like a Hallmark movie. What do you want after the end of this book? And then there's another question that asks, what's been stopping me from writing this until now? Why have I not shared this before? What is it that's stopping me? And so one of the things that that question does is that it really, once you see what's been stopping you, once you look at it, you can shift it. And that's where kind of personal development comes into this a little bit is if you have this beautiful story that you want to tell, but you've been just holding back, then I think that when we look at why we've been holding back, we can bring it out into the light, and it's like your doggy, right? He's scared of the dark. So when we bring it into the light, it's easier to deal with, right? So it also helps you to understand why you want to write the book, but how you would feel after you write the book. And then it takes you through some themes and clarity exercises, so you can figure out, what kind of theme do I want in my book, what kind of purpose do I want to have. And so that's a great way for anybody to get started, especially someone. I mean, I have a background in English literature and creative writing, so it's not as daunting to me to start a project like this. But for people who might be an accountant, for instance, would be maybe a little bit more hesitant to write a book. But I think that I take you step by step through, and yeah, Colleen put it in the chat. So you can just go through that and ask yourself these questions, because you do have a story to tell. And Colleen, you're so right. There are stories, as many stories as there are people, and I think that it's so wonderful to connect to others with those types of stories.
I think that's interesting too, because you said if you have a beautiful story, and I immediately made me think of this, is that when mom was going through her illness with Parkinson's and then dementia, every step of the way, she kept saying to me, record this. She'd just say, record this. And I'm like, and so I made all these voice recordings. And then I made recordings when I had to. If you've been a caregiver, then you'll understand. If not, don't judge me till you're a caregiver. Those times when I had to get away from my mom. And so I would go for a walk down the lane and record my own thoughts, which probably weren't always the nicest, but I don't think it's a beautiful story. I think it's an ugly story.
Mm.
It doesn't make it less important. And I think that having been in that situation, if I'd have had somebody else's story as a guide, that would have been super helpful to know um, just all the things, how quick it
Mhm.
can change, what to expect, how other people dealt with the same kind of um, scenario. It's just so interesting, And I see Nicole put in the chat, I need respite from caregiving. Absolutely. But here's the thing with my mom's, and I haven't talked about this a lot. My mom had Parkinson's for 7 years and kept it a secret because her husband's a less than honorable man, and had told her that if he ever met anybody in that condition or they came in his life, he'd put them in a home. And so she actually hid it for years. And so when she fell and broke her hip and it became unhideable, um, she came into my care, but she still tried so, so hard to hide it. And so when we would go to the doctors, when we would have all these visits, that woman, I would do everything for her here. She could do nothing for herself. And when we got there, she would refuse a wheelchair and walk in like she owned the world. And nobody could see through it. And it finally took me saying to the doctor, look, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm not bringing her in next time. I'm not even telling her we have an appointment. I'm literally just going to turn on the camera and let you see my life. So this was coming out of COVID. Everybody had virtual appointments like that. And so that's what I did. And they were stunned. They're absolutely stunned because the home life was totally different. for somebody who'd been hiding this, right? So it was so difficult. But I think that it's a real inside look. And a funny thing to that is hospice comes right around as soon as you're done with hospice. They come right around, want to know if you want to work with them. And you're like, well, no, I want to breathe and live for half a second. I
Yeah.
literally thought in that moment that I was going to be, I said to my husband, I was in the middle of a panic attack. I'm like, did I just leave my house for the last time? I'm 50 years old. Am I ever going to be able to leave my house and not be homebound? That's a crazy thought right there, right? But I think that all the stories, no matter good, bad, ugly, I mean, I think that they're helpful. And I think we have to understand that even if it's not etiquettely correct or put together exactly right, which is what I worry about because my words don't just flow right, I think they can still be helpful. But I also, Mary, I want to know your take on that. And then I also want to take a minute and have everybody tell us their favorite book. I don't care if it's the Bible or a health self-help book or just something fun or an arts and crafts book, whatever it is. I just want everybody to tell us theirs. Just take like 30 seconds and tell us theirs after Mary shares her thoughts on the ugly
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, Colleen, I think I mean, looking in the chat, people say I need that story now, and we need truth and caregiving. And you're right, it doesn't have to be a beautiful story to be a beautiful story, because what really is the case is that you're if you wrote down everything that you needed in that time to help somebody else get through the time that they're going through right now, that would be beautiful, because that would be a roadmap for somebody else to understand. First and foremost, Colleen, you're one of the most honest people that I know. And not everybody would be as honest about how they felt in that moment. You know, how trapped you felt when you're like, is this it? Am I homebound now? You know? And some people might feel bad about that. And here's the thing, you can't feel bad about that. And I think that sharing the story like that, Colleen, would help so many people feel like it's okay. Like I'm still here, I'm still serving, and I'm helping my parent, but at the same time, it's okay that I feel this way, because that is a part of it. And it's the messy truth. It's the messy truth. And not everybody knows that. And you're just supposed to serve with a servant's heart and feel good about it. But at the same time, we're all human beings, and we all need that human connection to understand that, you know what, it isn't always roses, and it's not always unicorns, and it's not always, you know, glittery purple hearts. But the fact of the matter is that you are still doing that out of love, and love is messy, isn't it? And to share something like that, even Colleen, if it's a short snip, this is what I see. Even if it's just a short snippet of your life in that moment, and then this is what I learned, and this is what you can take away from it, and just give bullet points almost, and that type of thing, that would help so many people. I really believe that.
Well, and there is a tool, just so that everybody knows, that you can voice record, and then you can just push print, and it sends to a company that prints it off for you. So I don't know if you've ever recorded something when you're talking to yourself. I don't want to say it right. Like when you're consulting yourself,
Mhm.
looking for expert advice from yourself. So when I would go on my walk down the lane and back, it'd take me about 7 minutes. And I would just talk the whole time, sometimes rant, sometimes cry, whatever it was, right? But then I didn't want to rehear it. And so I would just push print and it would go be printed and get mailed to me. And then you could
Yeah.
just take all those big envelopes and set them aside till you're ready to deal with them. So, anyways, that's just another aspect of it. So let's just go. I'll start. My favorite book is Where the Crawdads Sing. Mary, what's yours?
Well, I have a ton of them, but You Were Born Rich is my favorite, just because I teach it every single week, and I like doing that.
Okay. Karen, you have to unmute yourself. Yep.
Yep. One of my favorites is the Four Agreements.
Okay. Kim.
Um, I have to share one that's for the simple-minded of me, and that is I went and got it actually. Pooh's Little Instruction Book.
Oh, cute.
Oh, that sounds good. Allie, are you available to unmute and tell us your favorite book, Allie? Okay, we'll come back to Allie. Nancy, you need to unmute, Nancy.
Sorry, I froze, so I didn't even hear it until then. The Genius Zone by Gay Hendricks.
I
Okay.
love that one.
Basil. I don't know if they're going to hear me. Donna.
One of my favorites is Wallace Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich, because it just astounds me that it was written in 1919, and the only way you would know that it wasn't today is because he talks about steel and railroads instead of the internet. It's just an astounding book.
Okay. Diane.
I love The Anatomy of Peace by the Harbinger Institute, and of course the Bible, and you can find anything there.
That's a great self-help book. Jessica.
I had it right behind me. I had to grab it. It is the Mental Toughness Handbook. Got me through some really difficult times. Highly recommend.
Good. Rebecca.
The one that pops up right now was The Richest Man in Babylon. I don't know. It's not my favorite book, but it just come up right now. And when Nancy said Gay Hendricks, I will also mention The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. I also love that book.
Good. Thank you. Yvonne.
I have to put my own book up there. I just do. It's called Words, Women, and Wisdom, The Modern Art of Confident Conversations. It's all about 40 different words and word concepts to help women to ask for what they want and get it, being assertive, value-oriented, and clear.
Oh, Yvonne, I need to connect you with LaQuincia. I will do that on LinkedIn.
I'm going to have to watch the replay because I saw that and I thought it was for today, but then I realized that was last week's event. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll introduce you on LinkedIn. Nicole.
So we're talking books, and that is a great movie though, Colleen, where the crawdads sing. That's a very good movie. My book is The Simple Art of Not Giving a Fuck, basically. Read that after being a caregiver of 3 and the head caregiver of my family for many, many years. And it is very good about getting the mind out of what we think about all the time, and we overthink too much and care too much. And then it's just, what are the real important things in your life?
I have
Say
to
the
read
name
that.
of it again, please, Nicole.
The Simple Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Somebody gave that to me after my mom passed away. Somebody gave that to me at her funeral.
Did you read it?
I haven't.
Yeah, it's good. It's just somebody, like, it's like a good friend or maybe a bartender telling you, hey, you know what, dude, it's just, you got to get over it. Just let it go. And it's freeing. It's very freeing.
Very good. Okay, Mike.
Yvonne, I was like, I didn't even think about my own books. Very well played. Yeah. So the 2 I wrote in, if you, um, I, I mean, I would say I hate to read. I know I shouldn't say that, but I'll wait for the video to come out. But I would say Bible #1 and #2, best business book on earth for me was The Art of War. And I'm talking about the old transcript. I ain't talking about this coffee chat shit that they put out. But yeah, and it goes to Jessica, mental toughness, man. When you learn how to surf on tsunamis and quit wishing them away, life gets a lot more interesting and a whole lot better to navigate. Yeah, you turn shit into fertilizer, teach other people to do the same. There you go. Art of War.
Okay, Cynthia, are you available to unmute and share your favorite book?
Yeah, I think I don't know about my favorite. I've got a lot of really books that I love, but The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle is really amazing for getting us into the present moment and out of being influenced by the past or worrying about the future.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And I will ask Carmen. Carmen, are you available to unmute and share your favorite book? Okay, Allie, can you unmute and share your favorite book, please?
Yes, of course. Actually, there are too many favorite books for me, but I really like novels and I really love, I don't know, for example, Dorian and Gray's Picture. And yeah, anything that is, I just love novels. I don't like self-development books, sorry.
That's okay. I used to read novels when I was younger. I loved them, but and I buy books for my grandkids a ton. All right, Miss Mary, now that we've interrupted you, tell us more.
Well, what do you want to know?
I'm going to drop this link again in the chat just so it's at the bottom if anybody wants to grab Mary's Aspiring Author Starter Kit.
Cool. Yeah.
Drop that again.
And,
Just grab.
and I'm going to stick in the chat too. Like I said, I really believe that entrepreneurs need to focus on creating an economy around themselves. And so I have a free workshop coming up that's 5 days to creating your own economy. So I'll just stick that in there too. But as for more books and the ways that you can do, as a coach, for instance, I've created lots of workbooks for my clients, and this one in particular is all about figuring out what your purpose is, your vision is for your life and your business, and then goals that match, and creating an action plan because, well, you can't just wish it. It has to actually happen. So this is a way that as an entrepreneur, you can create like a workbook to take your clients through. You can, like I said, you can do something in the public domain and then add your little twist to it. One of my favorite things, though, is this book is called Discovering Something Greater. And this was a collaborative effort that I masterminded with 3 other women, and they're also entrepreneurs. And this one is about understanding this is kind of the messy truth about entrepreneurship. And we take you through vision and self-image and balance as an entrepreneur, and also finding your voice as an entrepreneur. And so, but the fact of the matter is, the reason why I like it is because it was a collaborative effort. And what happened was that we did not know what we were going to create on the way in. We came together and said, I just want to share something with my audience, and kind of give our readers an introduction of who we are, and show how we moved through the entrepreneurial journey, and different ways to do that. And what came out of it was incredible. So if you don't want to write a whole book by yourself, get together with some other people who you really are inspired by and write something together. It's wonderful. Each of us have a different part inside the book, and then we come together at the end and write one part together. So it's a great way to collaborate too. I love that.
I find that so inspirational. So one of the things that I'd like to do inside my membership is have my power partners each write a chapter and get a book together that way. And haven't spoken to them yet, but that is my goal, is to approach that in 2026. And so I see Nicole has a question, and then Donna does. Go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, thanks. So good stuff, Mary. I have a question, so I'll just say it. I have a very allergic adverse reaction to anthologies, only because I'm an actual reader. So a lot of times people put people together that aren't aligned on a level where they're speaking that they don't have to line step in the same, manner, but there has to be some type of message that's more aligned. And honestly, sometimes their stuff should be edited. Not everybody's a writer. Not everybody can tell a story. So when you're talking about anthologies, what would you suggest for people getting into one? Because I've been asked, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm okay. Especially with certain groups with people writing stuff, because it leads into, if I write a book, am I going to say the same thing everybody else has said?
Yeah.
You know, what leaves makes it more unique, I guess, is
Right. Oh, I love that question because this book was born out of the exact thing that you're talking about. Somebody approached me about being a part of a 20 author book, and I didn't know any of the other authors, and I didn't know anything about their messages, and yet we were promoting the same book. And I was like, "Ooh, I don't know about that." And so I asked myself, I'm like, what is the reason behind this being put into my world? What am I supposed to take out of this? And so I thought, I was talking to my husband about it, and he goes, "You already know how to write books, Mary. Why don't you create your own?" I was like, yes. And so I found people that I wanted to be associated with, and then who had a similar message as I did, and something that could not the same message. We certainly have different stories, but at the same time, we have a thread like what you're talking about, Nicole. And then what we also did was, I'm an editor, and so I edited it, and then I typeset it as the publisher, and so we were able to put in together a really pretty package, an edited version of it. And these ladies, this was their first book also. And so what if you can find a project, if you're interested in doing something like that, I suggest that you find people that you want to partner with. And somebody who actually knows the craft, and also either have an editor, a real editor, do it, or somebody who's in the group knows how to edit, and typeset and things like that. Because I think it's a marvelous idea. And the fact is I'm like you. I didn't like being chunked into a 20 author book and not have any control over anybody else. It's not that I have control over people,
Right.
but you know what I'm saying.
Well,
The
I do
message
because
being conveyed.
yeah, I do because it leads me to the thought. I mean, I interview my speakers. Like, I know who's on my stage. I don't want random people coming here because then we're sending different messages. We're all on different pages, and it's not beneficial to the speakers with their call to action. So I think we should talk about maybe offering them that. So I'd love to connect with you on that level as well for jam.
Absolutely. That sounds marvelous.
Yeah.
That would be a great way to get that out there for your audience for sure.
Perfect. Thanks.
That's so interesting too to me, because I find that when I think about doing it in my membership, obviously we all are under the same membership. So we have that joint thought, but we each represent a different business that brings a different level of simplicity to business, and a sure straight way to do well with your business. So it's an interesting thought. Donna, can you unmute yourself, please, and ask your question?
Sure. So most of us, I think time feels like an obstacle to writing a book. So I'm curious what your writing process is. Do you block out time and sit in front of your computer and write, or how do you do that? And the follow on is, do you have a top two ideas for a really quick book, something that's quick to put together and easy to get out the door?
Yeah, I love both of those questions. So the first question is how to write a book and get it out there because we're all short on time. Yes. So my suggestion is one idea is to get up early and start writing. I mean, when I started writing, I had a full-time job, and I said, I want to start writing, but I had a full-time job, and so I got up early and I started writing, and I got home from work and I wrote. That's what I did. But it's the intention. You have to choose to, because otherwise it's never going to get done. So you have to make a decision, say, I'm going to write this book and it's going to be published by this time. And one of the biggest things that I do for my clients is I create a production schedule before they even begin their book. So when I create a production schedule, their publish date is on that schedule. And so then we work backwards and we say, okay, here are your weekly metrics. Get this done here, get this done here. Oh, you got to have it to me to edit by this time, because otherwise it's not going to work, And so having somebody help you, have an accountability partner, have a deadline, having those types of things is very helpful. The other thing that is helpful is to, if you are collaborating on a book, that's more accountability, right? So I just really think that either you write for a block of time. sometimes that writing for a block of time generally works for me. Some people might want to set page deadlines. I'm going to write 5 pages today or 5 pages this week or, something like that. Um, Whatever is going to motivate you to get that finished project done. And as for your second question, the quickest way to get something out the door is create a quick ebook. And really, all you would need to do is, Donna, what if you wanted to write one on gratitude and you just wanted to say, what are the top 3 things I want to write about gratitude and share with my audience? Dun, 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 and how can I help them move forward? And it could be 10 pages and it could be just simple. But knowing that you have so many stories to tell, that could be the first iteration. And so you could get that out the door and use that as your lead magnet. And then in the background, you could be writing something a little bit deeper, using that first one as a template and to elaborate on. And I'm also big, oh, I forgot. I'm also big on creating an outline, and that's also in the aspiring author kit too, is how to create an outline. Just I want to talk about 10 things, 10 chapters, boom, 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 right? And just get that out and get order in your mind. That order in your mind helps everything else.
Thank
Did
you.
that answer your question?
Absolutely. It was a great
Okay.
answer. I took
Good.
notes.
Okay, fabulous.
All right, Mike, you have a question.
Yeah, real quick, before I bounce, I love your style. It's holistic. It makes sense. And I remember the first time somebody wanted me to write an anthology. They're like, "Hey, you want to write in a book?" I'm like, "Well, shit, maybe I should read them first." Like I was totally left field. And it made all the difference. Process, editors, like there's no way. I had a whole entourage of people to help through that. So I guess the question is, what kind of objections and excuses do you hear people? And what's the most common and how do you help them through this process?
Oh, good. The first one is time. I don't have time for that. And well, the way to help somebody through that process is, well, you have to decide if you want to write a book or not, and then make the decision first, and then you'll find the time. And then all of the things that I told Donna about the production schedule and all of those things, having accountability is really helpful in that time one. Money is the other one. And people say, well, I don't have any money to write a book. Well, guess what? You need way less money to write a book now than you did back in the day. I guarantee you, because I've done it both ways. And so if you just want to get your name out there and spread the word, start with an ebook. That's free. All it takes is a little bit of time and a little bit of, decision to do it. And then you can do it. You just write it. And that'll get your feet wet. That'll get your name out there. You can share it with the world if you want to. The best way to sell a book is to give it away. So start by giving away a free ebook.
Thank you for that. Hey, real quick, let's chat. Everybody always asks me, who do you know? And I'm like, man, I got to have an answer or they're going to fall into some like money pit bull stuff and waste their time. So I know it's negative sounding, but yeah, let's chat because
Okay.
you are spot on.
Thanks.
All right, Kim, you have a question.
I do. So Mary, I have a book. But it's been around for a while and it needs updating because things have changed. Would you recommend that you do like a second version, or is it better to do a brand new book?
Good question. I took all of my Jim Rats books that I wrote in 2010 to 2015, and I republished them. And so what I did was these particular the paperback versions stayed the same, but I did a second edition on the Kindle versions of them, and I refreshed everything and I relaunched them all. So one of the things that I offer is a refresh and relaunch. And so what you can do, if there is substantial changes that you want to make, you might want to create a whole new book. However, if you just want to refresh what you've got because it's got great ideas in it, but you want to refresh it and then relaunch it to the world because it needs to be out there. So I can help you go through a launch cycle with your refreshed book. I think that would be a great idea. I love that idea. I mean, when it comes to publishing, I've done almost everything. So it's really fun to take somebody through that refreshing and relaunching, because when I talk to authors who have written books, they're like, "Oh, but I want to change this. Oh, I want to change that." And there's some so little different things that you want to enhance and get rid of maybe and do that type of thing. This gives you the opportunity to refresh it, put a second edition out there, and then do a huge, beautiful launch with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Thank
love
you.
that. Mary, thank you for your questions, guys. One last question. When it comes to covers, do you help design and create the covers? Do you have somebody that does? I do know somebody that does just covers, but I'm wondering what that looks like.
So my sister was the artist for these Gym Rats ones, and then I've done for Discovering Something Greater, we all came together and created a cover for ourselves. And I also have a partner who does that I commission out the artwork to, who is incredible at, she's an artist, and so she does really beautiful stuff. However, if an author loves a particular image or something like that, we can definitely create it around their cover. I don't say that I am the end all be all of any creativity when it comes to cover art. So I think that an artist's eye is really necessary. So I defer to artists. I mean, I can create simple covers, but when it comes to beautiful things like that, I would say if you have an eye for it, go for it. However, there are some little things, with some people really like a specific cover, but the colors don't work and you can't see the words, and some authors have that type of issue going on. So I would say definitely have somebody with an eye look at it also.
Very good. Very good. Does anybody have any last questions for Mary? No? Okay.
Thank you all.
Mary, I'm going to let you close us out. Do you have any thoughts to leave us with? We have your link for your freebie, and then also for your workshop, right?
Perfect.
All
Yeah.
right. So if anybody wants to join her on those, please do that.
Thank you.
Any closing thoughts?
Well, thank you, Colleen, for having me here today. I'm so excited to share all this with you. And the fact of the matter is that I just want people to be open-minded about the stories that they have to tell or the information that they can share with people. And I think that a book creates more credibility for entrepreneurs. It adds to your depth as an entrepreneur. It brings in a source of income that hey, you can sell while you sleep. It's wonderful. Amazon does the work for you, and you get paid while you sleep, and it's wonderful. So it's just another little piece that you can add to your entrepreneurial bucket to bring in multiple sources of income, and it's wonderful. You could create a course around a book. You could do all sorts of different things. And I just, if you just want to talk about what are some ideas or options, I love brainstorming. So just reach out to me and I'll brainstorm with you.
I love that, Mary. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I will say too that I think a lot of this sometimes hesitancy comes from our generation, right? We were the generation that did not air our dirty laundry, right? And then there's that generation that came up like Dr. Phil and where they talked about everything. And then that moved on to everybody like um, recording their everyday life, their everyday whatever, and sharing that, just I guess documenting their life and sharing that all the time. And so I think it's interesting that we're coming to a point where we're
Oh, you froze. Colleen froze.
Since she's frozen, I'll just make a comment. I didn't have a question, Mary, but being a co-author of a book, I really loved that process. And I had all the excuses that people talked about. I didn't have time. I didn't have money. I didn't have the ability. I wasn't a good writer. I had every excuse in the world. But when I finally got kind of pushed into a corner about how much information I knew about cells and the body and this and that, then the co-author knew more about the spirit and knew more about the mind. So I can help someone get through the process of the physical, but the mental, emotional, spiritual, that's where she wrote. And then I brought in a doctor to write one chapter that added credibility to everything all of us had said, or the two of us had said. So it was really a fabulous process. And then learning through that, yeah, I always had 20 minutes extra in any day if I wanted to just focus that. So we just filled in the space while you were gone, Colleen. Sorry.
I didn't know I was froze. Sorry, it's my new office. So we need to iron that out. All righty. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Mary.
thank you.
And
Thank you.
be back next Monday. Let me see who is our Rob Homan is next. Rob Homan, is that next Monday? Nope, we have Michelle Swinnick next Monday. And she does lead generation. So that'll be an interesting coffee chat also. So we would love to see everybody back then. Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Colleen.
Thanks, Mary.